Chocolate pastry bakes into a buttery shortbread-like crust. And you've seen how it works with the chocolate slice cookie. So now you're ready to move into tarte au chocolat. And it starts with that same chocolate pastry recipe. You can roll this pastry directly from the fridge. Tarte au chocolat uses this chocolate pastry as a base to hold a sinfully rich chocolate ganache-style filling. You serve it cold, so you need to pre-bake the crust before you add the filling and bake it again. In rolling the pastry, I like to use short, small rolling motions and keep turning the dough. If you find, as you start rolling the pastry, that you develop a crack that just won't adhere together, the easy way to fix it is just take a little bit of soft butter in your finger and rub it over that seam where the crack happened. Then roll the dough up again, re-roll it, and you'll find you won't get a single break in your chocolate pastry. It's just shy of a 1/4 inch thick. And now I have a 9-inch fluted, removable bottom tart pan. I put a little sprinkle of flour in the bottom. I slide the tart shell under, lift the dough over. So you can feel the flexibility of the dough as you're working with it. You know it's going to bake up tender. I just simply use the rolling pin to trim off the dough. That way you get a perfect, flawless edge to the tart. Before I put it in the fridge, I'm going to dock it. That way, any air bubbles that may form as the tart shell bakes will escape, and actually the holes will fill in and bake together. Because the tart is now soft, I must chill the dough down. It takes about 20 minutes to reset the butter. I have one already chilled, so it's ready for the oven, just like this. I've preheated the oven to 350, and this takes about 20 minutes to bake. I'll let that cool down, and I have one ready that's already fully cooled. I've got bittersweet baking chocolate. If you can find 70%, that's a nice, strong, dark chocolate, which suits a dessert like this. And I have heating 1/2 cup of whipping cream and 1/4 cup of butter. And by pouring this over the chocolate, I'm creating a ganache. I like to stir this mixture gently at first to slowly introduce the two different ingredients together. Chocolate's looking good. Time for 1/4 cup of sugar. Balance out that bittersweet chocolate. And then part of lightening up the base is to add additional liquid. In this case, 1/2 cup of hot coffee. Okay, beautiful. Now that I've added more liquid, I have to set it up with something. A couple of eggs. 2 whole eggs. And I like to break them in a separate bowl and just give them a little stir with a fork. That way they blend into the chocolate far easier. Just a gentle whisking, and then the last addition of a teaspoon of vanilla. And there we go. I'll pour this over my cooled baked crust. It only takes 12 minutes in the oven. So you can see why we had to bake the crust first because that took a full 20 minutes in the oven. We go, 12 minutes, just barely set. I'll let that cool completely. And then it goes in the fridge for a good 2 hours to set up the chocolate. I'd like to show you a trick for getting those perfectly clean slices of your tarte au chocolat. Take hot water. If your tap water is hot enough, you can use that. This trick works for chocolate cheesecake as well. What I do is drop the knife into the hot water for a second. The metal will heat up. Dry off your knife before you make the first slice. So the warm knife half melts and half cuts the beautiful tarte. Look at that beautiful, silky interior. Lightened up with that touch of coffee so it's not too heavy, not too dense, but coordinates with the beautiful tender texture of that chocolate pastry crust. Get that sense how the crust cuts right through with the silky filling. Let's advance into the world of warm chocolate orange tarts.